Right, okay, guys. Welcome to this week's Friday Waffle. I'm back with the old guard, Mr. Lukozer, Mr. Dodon's Pulse, and Chris PantherUK. Good evening, chaps. How are we?
Hello, mate.
Morning. Been a while. How are you?
Still surviving.
Good stuff. So thanks. Welcome to this week's Friday Waffle. What's been happening to you guys? Still playing a bit of Elite Dangerous, I presume?
Yeah,
well,
just
by a bit. Yeah.
I'm surprised I put any videos on my channel, the amount of time I've spent playing that recently.
So has it got a timer thing? I think it has, Lukozer. Yeah, I think there is a timer that shows you how much you've actually played it.
Yeah. A lot of the time, you really don't want to look at that.
Does it depress you how much time you put into it, or not?
Well, it has when your timer clocks over 9 months. Yeah.
Well, when I started playing it again in the summer, and I started going online with Chris and going to his carrier and using that as like a base, so I didn't have to jump across the galaxy to be able to meet up to play online. I was on something like 8.5 hours of total game time. It's up to nearly 2 weeks now.
Does it actually register in weeks rather than hours, is it?
It registered in months when you got as far as he has.
That's what you call value for money, though, eh?
It is value for money. Anyone that says it's got nothing in it is talking bollocks. I mean, I've been chasing around trying to unlock the engineers so you can make the modules on your ship better. And we've been doing that for about 4 or 5 months, haven't we? And I still haven't got quite all of them. And there's loads of stuff to do in between. I've just started mining. And I've never done that before up until last week. I bought a ship. Chris gave me an idea of how to build a mining ship. And then we went out together and he showed me the ins and outs. And I've been mining and making millions upon millions of credits selling gold to wherever I want to sell it. It's fucking great.
So you've actually scratched the surface, virtually.
To a degree, yeah. There is still plenty that is left to do in it, yeah.
The fact that you've been playing it for so long, you haven't even got into that, just absolutely fucking terrifies me. It really does. And I think that's probably kind of what puts me off playing a game like that. Is just you could play it for months and never really get into it. Or does it just?
No, it can be as deep or as shallow as you like. It depends on how you approach it. If you want it to just be jump in a ship and blow fuck out of people, then go ahead. Probably won't last very long, but I mean you can do it. But so it's entirely down to the player's preference.
I mean, if you wanted to, you could just play it like the old original Elite on the BBC in the 64, albeit with like modern graphics. But you could just play that game. Go to a planet, buy some stuff, go to another planet, sell it, buy some more there, sell it. You could literally play it the way you played the original Elite. It just looks modern.
Yeah, so it can basically be as in-depth or as shallow as you want it to be. I mean, you've been playing it for months now, Lukozer. Does it get boring? Do you obviously you don't find it boring because you wouldn't be playing it if it was. Is there always new stuff to learn, or is it just the challenge of actually completing stuff?
I wouldn't go so far as to say there's new stuff to learn. It's just a case of getting better at what you already know. I mean, so I've been playing the game for 6 years if you include the time when I was in the beta. There are still aspects of it that I think I'm shit at and need to get better at, combat being the main one. So, in that sense I can still learn stuff, but...
Well, there's how many is there? 400 billion stars or something, isn't there?
Yeah, something around that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to take a minute to visit all of them. I mean, I've managed to get elite ranking in there now in exploration, and that's just visiting loads of systems, scanning the planets, and you make money for selling the data to stations and carriers and that, and that's how I made a load of money to buy my ships, and I quite like it. Just flying around, it's kind of it's a big chill out. I mean, if I'm not playing online, there's a fair chance I'll have some quiet music on I'll say quiet music, it's normally Slayer, but I'll have some music on in the background, and it's like a car stereo to my spaceship, and I'll fly around like that. But if we're playing online, then I've normally got him in my ear holes, and we just fucking chat the night away. I suppose it's another way of putting it.
Yeah.
So it's quite a kind of relaxing game to play. Then you can be talking and you can just be kind of playing it. It's obviously no Twitch type gaming, is it?
No, well, I mean the other on I think it was Saturday. My youngest boy, he plays a game called Black Desert where you can do fishing, and he said it's really like a really chilled out thing. I said you should come and have a look at the mining. So I loaded up Elite and was doing the mining, and because I saw that Chris was online, I just let him know that I didn't have my headphones on because I was showing my boy mining. But while I was halfway through it, I got a message from him saying, "Oh, have you got any paynite? I need it for something." Was it paynite or osmium? One of the two. Osmium. Yeah. And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "How much do you want for it?" I went, "No, when you fucking have it." But he come over and traded, and while we was playing,
listen, guys, I've got somebody at the door. 2 seconds.
This is going well.
Yeah. Oh, fucking hell, he's muted the microphone. That's that thing fucked up again then.
I love it when it happens when I'm in the middle of a story.
Yeah. Bet your life he'll have forgotten it by the time he gets back.
I fucking can't even know what we're talking about.
We was talking about Elite Dangerous. There you go, Chris. You said he'd forget what we was talking about.
Yeah.
The thing, as I said, I think the thing that puts me off a game like that. I mean, would it be possible to play Elite and One Man's Sky or whatever the hell it's called, or are they two games that need to?
Both, didn't you?
Yeah, I played them both for long enough. The only reason I don't play No Man's Sky anymore is because of that game-killing bug I've got with it.
Oh,
so, yeah, playing the two together, no problem.
Did that bug never get addressed then?
Not as far as I know. I mean, I haven't played the game for probably getting on for a year purely because of it. So I could start it up and find out that they have fixed it, but I wouldn't, I wouldn't bet the mortgage on it.
What's your thoughts on like companies that release games either half finished or they know that there's bugs and then they just think, fuck it, we're not making any more money out of it, won't bother?
Well, I did test them, but the trouble is everyone does it now because they keep getting away with it. So everyone just says, oh, fuck it, we'll release it unfinished. People will still buy it anyway and say it's great.
The trouble is, people our age, back in the 80s were like, I'd love to be a games tester, and now you are. You buy a modern game, you're a tester for it.
And paying them for the privilege of it as well.
Yeah.
Aye, I mean, there was a game that I bought. It was just like the sequel to Sensible Soccer called Sociable Soccer, and it was John Hare that was kind of leading the team, and I was all over it, and I bought it. It was like fucking 25 quid or something, but it was still in beta. And then that was about 3 years ago, and there's never been an update since then. They decided, in their wisdom, that apparently they were going to write a mobile app for the Chinese market, and they've invested all their money in this fucking Chinese app, and they've never. The idea being they're going to make money on selling this Chinese app, then they're going to come back and finish the PC one, but that's never happened. And because of that, I have completely utterly lost all respect for John Hare as a person. I love these games, but to kind of shaft people like that, I think it's just disgusting.
Yeah, it's not good.
It does sound like a waste of things. excuse that. Oh, we'll use this money raised from this other game to finish this one. Well, hang on, that's what the fucking early backing and kickstart thing was supposed to do in the first fucking place. So that's insulting the intelligence of the people who bought it.
Of course that is. Yeah. I mean, so is Elite Dangerous it still actively? Well, it does still actively get updates. How many people are working on it? You know.
It depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
The brown noser army fanboys, they'll tell you that it's over 100. People like me will tell you it's like 3 people who do it in their spare time and in a lunch hour sort of thing.
And so people like me would say, I don't know, I just fly spaceships.
I mean, as much as I like playing it now that it's got content, it's still got a lot of bugs and glitches in it, such as setting your fleet carrier to go to a system and it pisses off and leaves you behind, which is what it did to me last night. Fucking takes him there but leaves me back in where we were.
So how did you get around that one? You just got to reload it, basically. Yeah.
No, thankfully, it wasn't too far, so I just flew over. But if it had been long distance, although I didn't think it at the time, he's put the idea in my head. I'll just call it back. Say, fuck you. You can wait another half hour, and it's on its way back here.
When you think about games now, I mean, I'm not into them myself, but when you think about all these kind of next gen games and all that. I can't even imagine how difficult it must be to actually bug test them. It's almost like impossible to 100%. It's not like the good old days, Manic Miner, you fucking played a few games and whatever, and that was it. But it must be a phenomenal thing, although I suppose that's a big part of the budget is having people to
exactly. I mean, I personally don't go along with that at all. I think, the amount of money they spend on putting these things together and the size of the development team, there's no excuse for it not being, properly play tested. They just don't bother. They get they get the people who buy the thing to do all that for them.
I mean, sometimes their hand is forced, like the debacle over that Cyberpunk game. You know, they were forced by the publishers to release like a PlayStation and Xbox version, the PS4 and Xbox One, and it wasn't ready to go, and as such got pulled from the stores. But I mean, I know a couple of people that have played it on the PC and that say it's a great game. It's not my sort of game, but they say it's a great game. All right, there's a couple of bugs in it, but I think the trouble with some of these games like Elite, games like that. When they're that open world, to finally bug test every pixel, they should do it. But that's a mammoth task. I mean, how long would it take someone to visit every system in Elite Dangerous? I mean, 400 billion fucking stars. I mean,
I think that someone did actually work it out sometime. I think it came to something like 350 years.
That's fucking ridiculous. I've got to say though, I turned on my Commodore 64 last week when I was sodding about with my speakers and my setup on my new little screen that I've got, and I wanted to load Sanxion to listen to the music, and I also wanted to listen to the actual title tune, Montaignes and Capulets, whatever it's called. And I loaded that game, and that game came out in 1986, and I was loading the original version, not one fucking update.
Shocking, isn't it? Outrageous. That's one thing that is really ridiculous about gaming today. If a game comes out and there is no enormous fucking great patch on the day one of release, everyone's asking, where is it? Why isn't it here? No one actually considers the possibility. Do you think it may have come out without needing one? No, that is not even a consideration. Because they always do.
Yeah, well, we're gonna be having fun with bugs and glitches again in a couple of months when the new Elite Dangerous package drops, the Odyssey, which is
when Odyssey comes along. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of, it looks the way they're advertising it, it looks a bit like Call of Duty in space, but apparently that's underselling it a bit. But it's like an first-person shooter on planets. You can land your ships and get out of them, and so as long as there's more to it, like maybe a I don't know, some missions where you can walk about and look at stuff, rather than just having to do Call of Duty type first-person shooters. I'm all for it, but I'm dubious.
It's what's that? It's like a sort of hybrid of No Man's Sky and Call of Duty. There are going to be like the conflict zones in space. There will be conflict zones on planets where it's just everyone blowing fuck out of everyone else. It's like a hybrid of the two. Needless to say, I will be focusing more on the No Man's Sky aspect of it than the Call of Duty.
Yeah, same here. But then there's a lot of people that do want the Call of Duty aspect because they play Elite Dangerous as well. I mean, I've got a mate that plays Elite on Xbox, so he's got an Xbox One. And he said he's really looking forward to it because he likes playing Call of Duty and Battlefield and stuff like that. So it gives him another angle within the universe that he likes playing in. So, it's horses for courses, isn't it?
Mm. God. Yeah. Well, I keep on interrupting there. No, I suspect Frontier Developments know that the majority of players do want the Call of Duty side aspect to it. That's why they're focusing on that in the advertising. But if you actually read like their blurb and that, where they're talking about the development, you can clearly see there is a lot more to it than just that. Thankfully.
So see all these updates, I mean, obviously Elite Dangerous does get updated regularly. Are they all completely, absolutely free, yeah?
Not all of them. Odyssey you've got to pay for. All the rest, well, Horizons originally you had to pay for, but now you get it for free.
Yeah.
Technically, Odyssey will be the only one that you actually have to pay for. Everything else came along for nothing.
And what kind of price point are they going to put that out at?
About 30 quid, isn't it?
I was going to say it'll probably be like 30 or 40 quid.
You think about it, you've got to tip your hat to these guys because, I mean, where's the incentive for them continually updating this thing? They could just do what most companies say, well, fuck it, that's it, well, the game's out there, let's move on to the next thing, but...
Well, I mean, you can also look at Hello Games, the people who developed No Man's Sky. Now, apart from that one bug that has rather ruined it for me, and Erodian Thorn, who comments on your videos and that, he's affected by it as well. In fact, he's affected by it worse than me. Every single one of his game save slots gets corrupted, so he cannot progress in the game at all. Every time he starts it up, he's starting from the beginning again. With mine, it corrupts 4 of them, but the 5th one works, or used to. I don't know if it still does. But anyway, apart from that, they have poured in an enormous amount of resources and that into it, constantly updating it. It is totally unrecognisable compared to when it was released. And every single one of those has been free. There has never been a single paid for DLC or expansion or anything.
That's good. Is that the consoles as well, presumably? Is it PC?
And it has cross-platform support. So you can hook up with Xbox and PlayStation players as well.
Is Elite Dangerous not even the PlayStation 4? I think, is it?
No. Yeah. It's on both consoles and PC, but it doesn't have full cross platform support. All of the fleet carriers can be seen in all versions, so even though I'm playing it on PC, if you're on a PS4 or whatever, you can still go and land at me carrier, but that's as far as it goes.
So is it more limited on the console compared to the PC one?
No, it's the same game.
I mean, the game is the same. The control method is very different, and personally, I can't stand the implementation they've got for controlling it on consoles. But I guess it works for console players. There are plenty of them out there. So
yeah, I mean, my mate plays it on console. I mean, and he did. I told him about a system I was in that was good for mining, and he said he'd come and have a look. And he said, "Oh, what's the name of your mate's carrier?" And I told him, "Oh," he goes, "I can see it." He goes, even though we can't see each other because we're on different systems, he goes, it's kind of interesting to know that we're in the same place at the same time. And I was like, yeah, being better if we could actually see each other. I don't know why they don't have cross-platform, but then saying that, I normally play on Chris's server anyway, so I don't see anyone that's not on there because I don't play in open with real people, other than like the people that are in Chris's friends, because there's too many arseholes out there that hang about outside spaceports and shoot new players because they think it's fun, and that's the kind of thing that puts people off the game.
And is that primarily the console where you get that?
No, that's primarily just in open play.
Yeah.
If I had the means to reach into the screen and give them a good slap, then I wouldn't mind doing it, but I can't do that, and rather than get wound up by it, I just like, fuck it, I'd rather either play solo, which is what I was doing, but now I play on the Lukozer sort of server because it's exactly the same game, but in that game I won't run into any real people other than like Chris and Jim, and I've spoke to Aaron D on phone on there. And there's what, you got 24 people in there, ain't you, I think? And so in all them 400 billion stars, there's only 24 people I can run into. And I know that Chris doesn't suffer fools gladly, so I feel pretty safe in there not to get anything. The only person I need to shoot the fuck out of me and nick me stuff is him.
Yeah. Well, if I am in a particular ship, watch out.
So how much? Well, you guys won't know how much is it on the PlayStation 4.
Well, no, it's. I mean, bearing in mind it's what, 4-5 years old, so you can get it pretty cheap on consoles. Actually, one of those 24 people on my server, you may have only been on there, for like 5 minutes on one occasion, but yeah, you are on there.
I loaded it up maybe 4 weeks ago, and I think I was quite surprised. I think it was something like 10 hours, and I'm like, how the fuck did that happen? Because I've only played it a handful of times. I'm kind of thinking, would the PS4 version work for me better? I'll be honest with you, I get a bit overawed with the whole fucking buttons and all the keyboards and that kind of stuff, whereas I know
if you're overawed by the number of controls on that on the PC version, then the PS4 one, you'll take one look at it and think it's horrific, because you've got to remember various combinations of buttons to do specific things, and then you're having to cycle through the various groups, firing groups, in order to bring up, in this group I can do blah blah blah, and then you got to get the buttons cycle and combinations for that. Fuck that! It's much easier to just press the J key.
And it'd be a bit bloody stupid having a pretty good graphics card, and I mean I can play it in VR as well. I'd be pretty stupid to then shell out and bloody buy it in the PlayStation 4.
Well, on Amazon, new and used, 2 from £34.88 for the Legendary Edition on PlayStation 4. So you're looking at 35 quid to buy it from that. And the thing is, you say that about being overwhelmed by all the buttons, and I've drifted away from computer games to console games for quite some time. And having the keyboard back, all right, it's taken me a bit of time to get used to it, and I've set it up how I want to set it up. So I know which button boosts my shields, which one does my heat sinks. I've got my button that I've recently added to power down to 3/4 so I don't shoot part stuff. But it's after playing it for a few hours, it's almost like touch typing. You just know which button to press. Just you don't look all must press J. You just look down and think that one, because you I don't know about you, but I've got a mind with good spatial awareness, and I just go by the shapes of things. If it has to be something instantaneous like that, rather than I've got to find the J key, I just know where that key is now.
No, interesting. I was thinking I could take, why reinvent the wheel? But I mean, I've got that many of these. I've got my Defender stick, which is effectively a keyboard. So I could, in effect, have my Defender stick sitting there and just having there's a button that says thrust. So technically, I could have that as a key on Elite Dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, you could, but you'd have to go into the settings and configure all the keys to each button. But yeah, you can do that. I don't know if you'd really want to, but you can do that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, why do it when I've got a keyboard sitting there? I mean, when I played it with Lukozer, maybe 6 months ago, I'll be honest, I found the mouse controller was just fucking. I couldn't go in a straight line. It was far too sensitive. I know that's probably the best way to play it, but when I did play it a few weeks ago with the gamepad, I was going through some of the tutorials and I was actually able to steer it. I found it a lot more controllable.
I don't play with a mouse. I play with Xbox 360 wired controller and a keyboard.
That's what
I use the mouse for if I've got to mess about in like the galactic map or something, looking for where I want to go. I find it easier to use the map in all the mouse in all the charts. But for controlling the ship and that, I use a mixture of keyboard and controller because that works for me. I'm like you. I tried the mouse when I first had a gun, and I could do it. It didn't feel like I was flying a spaceship. It felt like I was using the computer. So, but I mean, I think Lukozer uses the mouse when he does his one.
Yeah, I only ever used mouse and keys.
Can you put it across more than one screen? No.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah.
How do you manage that? How do you do that? I've never managed to get any game to go across.
I've never had two screens, so I haven't got a clue. But I know it can be done.
You can do it, but I think you might have to do an extend or something. But it will literally spread it over two screens, so you'll have where your screens join. You'll have a join down the middle of your display.
Yeah,
it's not
right
like
where your sights are.
It's right where your sights are. Yeah. Yeah, if you've got three screens, it might be even better.
Yeah, three screens is yeah. If you're going to play it on multiple screens, you do need three.
That would be pretty epic, actually. One in the middle and one either side.
Yeah, I've seen a few screenshots of people playing it like that. Personally, it's not for me, but you know.
No, I mean I'm quite happy playing it on a 47-inch telly, sat on my sofa. So I mean that works for me. That's almost like life-size front of the spaceship where I sit away from my screen. So
I've got a mate who he constantly puts pictures up on Facebook of Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I'm going to say, fucking hell, they've really nailed the graphics. I mean, it's hard to tell that it's not real.
Yeah, but if you're overwhelmed by the controls in Elite Dangerous, you don't want to go anywhere fucking near that.
Well, I'll be honest, it wasn't that put him off, it was the fucking price. I thought, I'll just have a look, and I said, what was that? 12 or whatever the hell it's called. I went on and fucking eBay, and it was like £117 for the game. I think there was different packs, but the cheapest one was about 90 quid.
Yeah, sod that.
Fucking hell. Well, it was pound for pound, it's probably the same price as an Amiga game back in 1991 or whatever it was. But no, have any of you guys dabbled in Microsoft Flight Simulator?
Nah.
No, I've seen Jim has done a few videos of it, and it's going all out for realism. Now, I much prefer the flight sims from like the 64 and Amiga days, where it was like a balance between a degree of realism but also actually being an enjoyable game. I mean, Microprose were the kings for that. I don't think they did a bad simulator.
Was Gunship.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. Gunship. F-117 stealth fighter and F-15 Strike Eagle, all this, they were all fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd much rather, if they brought out a simulator that played like that, I'd buy it, straight off. But they don't. They all go out for realism.
Have you ever revisited any of like the C64 games like Gunship and that, and just to see how it plays nowadays?
I did try F-19 Stealth Fighter for a while, but I couldn't remember any of the keys. So, because back then you used to get that like little card overlay that you put over, and it had all the keys written out, so you didn't have to memorise them because they were all written there in front of you. So yeah, I wasn't very good at memorising what keys did what for those.
Some of Microproses, I mean, you really got your value for money. You got your big thick manual, which you had to actually read. And as you say, you had your overlays and cards and all that kind of stuff. No, like you buy a Switch game now and you get the cartridge and there's nothing else in it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Microprose for presentation, no one came close to them. You know, the amount of stuff you got for your money. I mean, okay, they were a bit more expensive than your average game. They were like about 15 quid as opposed to a tenner. But you got 15 quid's worth. You know, it wasn't just paying it just for the fancy packaging. It was all there for a reason.
Yes, you got in there what they call the feelies, weren't it? So you got things like maps, like especially with like the SFI Gold Box games, like the Dungeons and Dragons games. Now, I mean, you got maps, you got charts, you got books.
Yeah, you got the whole works. I mean, yeah, they really did know how to package decent games and put them together well. You don't get anything like that now.
No, I mean I've got a game for the Amiga called Life and Death, and it's something someone gave me, and it was never really opened. When I was going through my Amiga stuff, the box got a bit squashed, and I thought I'm going to open it up and straighten that out. When I opened the box up, the disc was in there. There was information. There was a pair of latex gloves. There was a face mask, very topical, and it's all this. It's just like they expected you to put the face mask and wear the surgical gloves. What he was doing
while playing it.
While playing, what it was, you'd have someone with appendicitis, and you had to actually operate on them in glorious 16-bit vision.
I remember that. It was like Operation for that, yeah. I mean, I've shown it before, but then, I mean, the original Elite.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, you got plenty in there, yeah.
I'm watching one of them on eBay at the moment.
Oh, really?
It doesn't go stupid.
You've got, what's that? I mean, you've got a fucking good flight manual. You know
yeah. Has that got the Dark Wheel storybook in it as well?
Yeah, give that. Right, there we go. Yeah. It is indeed. You've got that.
Have either of you actually read that?
I read it years ago.
Yeah, I did back in the day.
I thought it was alright, actually.
Yeah, it was alright.
I did read it back in the day. You've got the control.
Yeah. There's more keys to remember in that one than there is in Elite Dangerous.
Was there really? Yeah, there you go. The Dark Wheel by Robert. Was it Holbeck, whatever?
Yeah, classic stuff.
Holdstock, inspired by the intergalactic space trading adventure program Elite by David Braben and Ian Bell. Yeah, I mean, that's how many pages? 40, 50 pages.
But it all came in the box of a game that cost, what, $14.95 on the...
Yeah, that's right.
I've even got that thing.
Yeah, the old overlay.
Oh, that's the wrong keyboard. Right, let's have a quiz.
Fuck.
Yeah, because
Right, okay, let's go. Right, what key was number 1?
Forward view.
I think it's local chart.
It was called Escape. Number 2 was...
You use the escape pod.
Number 2 was buy cargo. Number 3 was sell cargo. What was number 4? Any ideas?
That's the local chart.
No, that was number
galactic
5.
Chart.
5 was the long range chart. 5 was the long range. 6 was the short range.
And 4. That's not equipped shift, is it?
It is. No, you're wrong. It is equipped ship.
Okay.
And then you've got, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 was the data. 8 was market prices. 9 was status. More than 10 was inventory. There you go. And I've even got my warranty card, which I've not filled in. Order of Elite.
That don't work now. You're fucked, didn't you?
Okay, you're joking. It says no stamp required as well. I might just send it off to Firebird software.
See what happens.
The ultimate accolade for the Elite Cadet has to be acceptance to the famed Order of Elite, but only a chosen few ever achieves this honoured status. The selection procedure is simple but formidable. Once you've attained the rank of competent or higher and filled in the questionnaire, you're eligible to enter. Each cadet will receive a large full-colour poster in the official Order of Elite insignia. That'd be alright, eh?
Yeah, that's one thing you're missing. There should be a poster in there with the various ship designs.
There is indeed, and I'll put that in a state.
Okay.
I'm not happy with this. It says every month until November 1985. Fuck's sake, I've just missed the boat by about 35 years. But anyway.
Until November, I don't think I even had the game in November 85. I got it for Christmas. I can't remember what year I got it, but it must have been 85 because I don't think the 64 version was out until 85.
I don't know when it came out. Well, yeah, I'll tell you, there's even the
I seem to remember mine was on a C90.
Where the guy bought it in 1985. Right. Remember this Errington Computers in Errington, Spennymoor, County Durham. I'm taking that back. I'm not happy with that. Elite, £14.95.
Worth every penny. Even though I didn't have it, I had a pirate copy of it.
Yeah. And that adorned my bedroom window.
Yeah, I had that up on my wall as well.
Cool. How different does the Anaconda look in that picture to the one it looked now?
Well, for ships that look totally different in that compared to now, the Adder and the Feather Lots, they're the two that really do.
Well, look at the Anaconda, top second one in.
Yeah, it looks very squashed, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it didn't look like that in the game, actually. It looked like what it was, a huge fucking great thing in the game.
It still is, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what you call value for money, though, eh?
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know, especially when you get all that stuff in. Well, I did something quite retro last week, Al.
What was that?
Well, if I can get it to come up on here, I know that is a 12-inch, 33 RPM vinyl record.
Oh,
the guy that does the Chipsid show, Max Hall, he's got a band called the Surgon, which is surgeon spelt incorrectly on purpose. I can't remember why. There's 40 of these, 20 black, which is what I've got, and 20 clear plastic, and the rest is digital. And I bought the first one, and because he's a mate of mine, he sent me a message saying I'm going to get some more. They're not pressed them, they're lathe cut, so they're actually made on a record cutting machine rather than being just pressed in a factory. He said, I'm getting the new album done. Are you interested in one limited edition vinyls? I went, yeah, fucking right I am. It was 20 quid plus the $5 postage to get it here safely. So that is another vinyl record I've bought.
Funny when you saw it.
It's just dark electronic music, but yeah.
Nice. When you see vinyl in shops and it's like fucking 20 quid, you're like, fuck's sake. But you think you were paying, I don't know, what were you paying for an album back in the day? About 7 quid or something, maybe?
Depends on the album, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think I paid about 12 quid for Live After Death, the Maiden double live album.
So yeah, it was a double album, so you would pay a little bit more for that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Just talking about all these space type games, we can't not talk about what's that game that will never ever get released ever. What's it called?
Fucking Star Citizen.
Is that still rolling on the thing?
Yeah, it's still rumbling on.
Okay, nice.
Thing is, that could have been so good if they'd have just kept their mouth shut, done it, and then talked about it when it was nearly done. It could have been really good, but they basically fucked it. I mean, I don't have any real intention of ever buying it.
No, it's an absolute con. They've had plenty of fairly big names working on it, including a certain Martin Galway, who was brought in for audio duties. He wasn't there long. I don't think he was even there 6 months, and he left, and he doesn't have a good word to say about it. So you do get the impression all is not well. As it fucking well should be. He's raised over 350 million for one fucking game. You could make the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy for 50 million less than that.
That must be the biggest chunk of money that's been spent on any game, even your fucking Call of Duties, whatever it is. 350 million. That's surely illegal what he's done. The fact that, but then there's arseholes that are going to continue putting this money, throwing money at him for something I'm not.
Oh yeah, and you know, if you point out to them that you know, look, isn't it fucking obvious this is a con? Oh yeah, you can see they are well and truly taken in by it. So I'm quite happy to let them, you know, let them have your money, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, people can criticise No Man's Sky, Elite Dangerous, Cyberpunk 2077, and all these games that come out that are a bit buggy. But they've been added to and improved. I mean, I think when I didn't back the Kickstarter, but I think when Elite was first announced, it's got a 10-year development life or something, can it? Something like that. So it's going to be developed until 2025, and then see where it goes from there. So it's constantly being added to. So you buy that on the understanding that it's constantly being added to. So although there's some annoying bugs in it, like the other night we was playing, I had to task manager the game shut and start again because I got locked into a cycle and I kind of lost connection. Yeah, you get these bugs in games, but they are constantly improving them. I mean, if you watch Lukozer's original Elite review, he gave it 0 out of 10. And when I was talking to him a few weeks ago, and I said, what would you give it now then, since you're still playing? And he said, was it 7.5 or something? You said, didn't you?
Yeah.
So it's got 7.5 points better on the Lukozer scale in the last 4 years. So I mean,
that's a hefty amount on my scale, that's for sure.
that was Elite Dangerous that you gave. You rated 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Then what made you? Why was that? Why was it such a poor?
Because when it came out, I'm trying to remember actually if it was the Elite Dangerous review or if it was the Horizons review when I gave it 0. It could have even been both. But yeah, when it came out, there was virtually nothing in it, and it was bugged to fuckery. I mean, it was in a real fucking state. So yeah, and they were pretty much insulting everyone by releasing it in the state it was in, But yeah, they have been adding to it, and now, I mean, there's as much content in there as you want. Like we were saying earlier, you can play it as shallowly as you like. You can play it just like the original Elite and just do the one thing over and over. Or you can get really involved into it, and, as in depth as you can stomach, and there's plenty in there now.
We've just finished a community event. I mean, all right, he did it more than I did, where you go into a conflict zone, or you sign up on one of these big mega ships you can land on, and you choose a faction to fight for, and you go into these conflict zones, and you get credits for the amount of ships you kill. And then at the end of that, if you're in, I think when we last looked, I was in the top 50%. I get a permanent pass to this system, a couple of million credits, and obviously all the ships you shoot add to your combat ranking and stuff like that. And that's been, what was that, 5-day event?
Well, it will be a 7-day event. Actually, yeah, because of course it's just finished. I have a theory actually about that event. It's clearly been put there to start off a storyline that's going to be in Odyssey. And when you look at the amount of credits that were raised by players, it was something like 139 billion credits. And yet we didn't even get into the third tier. I think they deliberately set a ridiculously high number of credits to actually complete it. We're talking like trillions. So even though the event has ended and it's been like, the Federation have won this war, it wasn't decisive, so they can continue that storyline. So I think they've done it, it's just this one event. Most of the other events, you finish it and that's it. But yeah, this one I think is going to rumble on.
But you can totally ignore all that if you want. There was one a couple of weeks ago where there was a base on a planet that someone had discovered and you had to go and find it. But you can totally ignore all that if you want and just do your own thing. That's what I like about it. I can load it up and if I see that Chris ain't online or Jim ain't online, I think, right, what can I do? Oh, fuck it, I'll go mining. And like I said, I was showing that to my boy, the mining, and he thought it was great. And he thought it was quite seamless that Chris come online and was able to message me and say, I'm after this, have you got any? Yes, I have. So he jumped over to where I was. He came and found me in the ring of a planet, pulled up next to me, dropped a load of cargo. I dropped a load of cargo. We swapped loads. And he was like, see you later, and fucked off again. And my boy, who's like a real ultra-modern gamer, he went, fucking hell, Dad. He went, that was seamless, weren't it? And I went, yeah. I said, some things, when this game does it right, it really does it right. It was like basically a mate had phoned me from sort of like the next town across, said, I need something, I'm coming over to get it, and appeared at the doorstep. Here you go, mate, see you later. And it was just like that, but in the game. So yeah, it is you make of it what you want.
Yeah.
it kind of seems to me that it's not a game, or have I got this wrong? It requires a phenomenal amount of investment, time-wise, and becomes almost a way of life. Or can it be
exactly? Yeah, it doesn't need that. If you just want to jump in and out for like an hour or so, then yeah, you can do that. Everything in the game is optional. There is nothing in there that's compulsory at all.
I mean, the reason I've been playing it so much is because I get on with that hairy bugger down there, and we just spend hours talking. So rather than just sat on a phone, just sat there going and just talking while we're chatting away about bollocks, we're flying spaceships. I mean, that's the future, man.
I think it's a bit like, I know you guys have played it as virtual pool. It's very, very similar. The fact that you're playing a game is almost inconsequential. You're in this. You're staring at a computer screen, obviously, and you're taking part in a game of sorts, in this case pro, or in your case elite, but you're just talking to people when you're just taking the piss at each other, and it's a bunch of mates, like what we're doing now. We're just sitting blathering, chewing the fat, and you happen to be taking part in this game. So I think
that's actually quite a good analogy, mate. That's pretty much what it is.
Except I wouldn't dream of taking the piss out of anybody. I take it totally seriously.
Panther almost managed to nobody smell there, but anyway, yeah.
Oh dear, I seem to have stepped into a fucking parallel universe.
Just before we move on, Lukozer, I don't know if I know you're not on Discord. I don't know if you know anything about a certain programmer of CrazyCom. Do you know anything about what's been going on with that? No.
Yeah,
I've told him.
Yeah. So when he first appeared in the chat, was it last Sunday or the Sunday before? Two Sundays ago, wasn't it? His name popped up, and I thought this is somebody just having a laugh because there was no logo or anything, and I deliberately didn't even really. I kind of acknowledged it. And I thought I didn't even mention it, and then we were kind of talking in Discord. What is the chances this guy has quite literally left the computer industry? I mean, I was telling Panther the other day there, I've got a mate who he writes for Retro Gamer magazine, and he's also part of the Ted Dabney experience, a good lad actually, and he had been in touch with me, and we're talking, and I said, I'd love to get him. He says, that's he would absolutely kill to get this guy, because he was a massive fan of the Interceptor games for various reasons, you know what I mean? And he says he's been trying to get him and can't get him. And then, so I thought, what is the chances of this guy dropping into a Main Meister Sunday live stream? And that's just plain ridiculous. So then I posted under his comment, I said, look, if you are the real guy, can you email me? And I put, the cryptic Alan.Stewart at blah, blah, blah. And then lo and behold, he's emailed me back. So it's either a really it's somebody taking the piss, but I don't think it is. He's been quite. I mean, he was very, very open about he would be up for an interview, but he wouldn't want to talk about anything that was too personal, and he wouldn't talk about finances. So that's, to me, that is the real guy. We're just hoping he doesn't find my Ian Gray Sunday special or tune into any of our 10 of the worst video games ever.
Yeah. Be glad I wasn't there when he showed up.
I don't know. I think. I mean, you and I have both been guilty of it. We've absolutely panned a game stupid, and then the programmer will jump in. Oh yeah, I know it was shit, and you're like, oh fuck, I wish I'd said that.
See, I don't mind that. When I've had that a few times. I've absolutely torn into a game, and then I've had a comment from someone, one of the people who worked on it. They don't give a shit. And yeah, in the same comment section, you'll see, all the usual fanboys, oh, fuck off, you cunt, you don't know what you're talking about, blah-de fucking blah. And yet here's someone here who actually, wrote the fucking game. He doesn't give a monkey's toss. It's like, yeah, I'm quite okay with that, because it makes all the fanboys look like the fucking cunts they are.
They're probably just really, really quite proud of the fact that somebody's even talking about this monstrosity that they programmed like in 40 years ago. I'm probably quite happy that people are still even talking about it.
Yeah, the one that really sticks in my mind was Zoids. I mean, I tore that game to fucking shreds. And yeah, it was just completely out of the blue. One of the guys who worked on that, I think there was like 3 of them together who worked on it. So one then came along and he was saying, we basically tried to do something a bit different. No, he like acknowledged, it was really divisive. Some people loved it, some people hated it, and he said it didn't really work out in the end, but, he was still quite happy to see that someone was still playing it after all this time, even if I was, the only reason I load it now is for the music.
I mean, we can say what we like about, Ian Gray's games and, love them or hate them. And, I mean, Crazy Kong is absolutely a bit abysmal. But he has got his place in Commodore 64 gaming history. Not necessarily for the right reasons, but, a lot of people remember those games. I mean, I remember China Miner. In fact, I showed both of you two. I've actually got a copy of it, I realised the other day. Chris said to incinerate it, but I'll keep it for now. But yeah, you don't, Interceptor Software at the beginning of like the 64 era, they were quite the company that were putting out a lot of stuff, and Ian has got his place in that history.
Yeah. I think Interceptor Software were probably like the first big, for lack of a better word, publishers for 64 games. Well, it was between them and Commodore themselves, really. I mean, we're talking like, 82, 83.
And the thing is, back in 1982, I mean, that's what I was talking about when I did that video with Delboy about computer magazines. You typed in all these games, and back then, you didn't have any games, and you were just grateful to have something to play. It didn't matter how shit it was. And it was the same when you went and you handed money over for a Commodore 64 game. It might have been absolutely shit, but it was a game. It was a game to play, and I'd
just like to say on that front, you talking to Delboy, I'd just like to say now, if Delboy wants to give me a lift in his car anywhere, I'm all right with doing that, but I do not want to go back to your house, Del, to look at fucking bunnies or puppies, all right, or accept any sweets from you.
Okay. On that note,
moving swiftly on, but I mean, as you say, Panther, they've got their place in history. It's easy to look at software in 2021 that came out 40 years ago and go, that was shit, and a lot of them were absolutely shit, and how they managed to even sell them. But it's rightly or wrongly, they've got their place. They've got their place, and people.
Well, it's like I've said in one of my videos recently. I can't remember which one it was. I said, a lot of these games come from a time where people had imagination to fill in the blanks.
That's it. Yeah.
So, I mean, like, you were looking at a football game on the Atari VCS a few weeks ago on one of your streams. And you had 3 blobs around a square. Now, that looks like 3 blobs around a square, but back in the day, that was 3 players around a football because your brain smoothed it out for you because it was new. It was like, wow, look at that! I'm controlling that on the screen. That's name any bloody player you like, whichever country you come from, and they're playing football. And as the graphics have moved on, they've started looking worse and worse because we expect bigger and better. But then there's people like us that can look at them and remember them for what they were, rather than saying, "Oh, that was shit." It's like, no, that was different. That was the dawn of this whole thing. You look at the original black and white films with their horrible flickery shutter action on the cameras, and then you compare that to a film that come out yesterday, recorded digitally on HD and in 4K, and that's the difference you've got between the early games on the Atari and the stuff coming out on PCs and PlayStation 5s now. It's that much of a jump. And I still like black and white films, and I still like old games. I don't care as long as it plays well. I don't give a shit what it looks like.
Like, absolutely, that was part of the fun, and it's even like people say, "Do you dream in colour?" When I look back at when I think back to like reading Zap magazine, I always imagine it was glorious colour. Fucking 99% it was actually black and white.
Yeah, it's
I
all
don't
black and
remember
white
that.
photos. Yeah.
Oh, the first issue of a new one of them should be coming out soon.
Are you involved in it again?
Chris Wilkins of Fusion Retro Books has got the rights for Crash and Zap because Roger Keane's sadly been diagnosed with motor neurons. He's stepping mules and stuff like that. So they've bought the rights and he's doing it. I think it's like £5 every quarter on Patreon or something. It's the only Patreon I've ever done. And it's an A5 size Zap 64 that's going to be coming out. And you wouldn't believe the amount of games that are still coming out on the Commodore 64 that are filling the pages of these things. They've got there's enough stuff that they can do it once every 3 months and make a small fanzine size Zap. But yeah, so it's a new era of Zap, and they're doing it for Crash as well because the want is there for it.
I bought that. What's it called? Soul Force. What's that game that you did a video on?
Yeah, Soul Force, one by Sarah Jane Avery.
Aye, I bought that. I've got to say, it's bloody fantastic. I mean,
well, that's the thing that made me laugh when you were saying, "Oh, I'm not paying £8 for a game." I'm like, "Hang on a minute, you've done a review once where I'm not paying £20 for a game. 5 minutes on Sam's journey. This is worth every penny, lads." And that's what I was trying to say to you about it. So yeah, well, you obviously agree with me now.
Yeah,
€8. What's that? About £7.10 or something?
Yeah. In today's money, no, totally. Has any of you guys seen that game that people are talking about as being the best looking Commodore 64 game ever? Something, A Day in the Highway or something. It's like a driving game or something.
It's a bit of a tech demo, that one.
Is it?
At the moment, it's kind of like one of these endless runner games where it scrolls towards you and the thing goes side to side. Have you not seen it?
I've seen screenshots of it, but I've never seen it running.
I'll see if I can find it running to show you.
Aye. But listen, I suppose we'd better crack on with some questions. I was getting flack for not answering any because I didn't fucking get asked any last week. Although apparently a couple of guys did ask them, but it didn't appear in the thing.
Yeah, and some of us didn't bother asking because we thought we was going to be in the waffle,
Yeah, aye. Somebody didn't turn up, Yeah. Anyway. Right, a question from LRM. Have you seen the recent NES port of Berserk? Yeah, I have. I think it's... I can't remember what his name is. It's a guy that does YouTuber. He's a YouTuber. He ported Berserk to the NES. Yeah, wasn't impressed. I do class myself as somebody who can give a good opinion on whether a conversion of Berserk is shit or not, because I've played the game enough to know how it works. And people go on about there was a port that came out in the C64 about maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Redux.
Yeah, Redux. I remember when I first loaded it, I thought, fucking, this is the best thing ever. It's actually pretty shit. It looks nice. Technically, it's quite nice. The movement's wrong. The mazes are wrong. It's wrong. If you want to play,
the Evil Otto is also, it moves far too fast.
Yeah, it doesn't play. It's the same name. It's kind of, you would say it's more influenced by or whatever. But if you want to play the best version, port wise, is the Horus and the Robots and the Spectrum. That's just phenomenal. I'm going to add this just now.
Right, now this is actually from this guy, Cavio Lalanian.
I'm guessing he's from Finland.
And it's his little 64 project. So I've muted the sound.
So it's his game. He's written it.
Yeah. So this is his project. So I'll start it, and you have a look at this. This is unbelievably good. I mean, at the moment it looks like a tech demo, like an endless running type game. But this is on a Commodore 64. It's like, what the fuck is that?
All right.
Yeah, not bad for a computer that can only do brown, eh? So yeah, there's not much to it, but as a concept, I mean, how much would that have blown you away in 1986? Because the hardware would have been able to do it.
If that's the game, I wouldn't really be interested in playing it. It's just like dodging left and right. But I mean,
yeah, it's not my idea of a good game either. But it's the fact that it can do that at that speed on a machine that most people say can't do a driving game.
Yeah, I mean, there's brown in those trees. How fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, what, a brown tree trunk? Surely not. Outrageous. They should be yellow or red.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know anything about programming to comment on what it's doing, but I mean, it's
I can tell you now, I don't know that much about programming, but I know that is absolutely impressive. To move like that. I don't know what the sound's like on it because I haven't shared the sound, so we won't get it anyway. But yeah, that's something else. If they can start making games of that quality still on the Commodore 64, using engines like that. I mean, imagine if you tilted that slightly, chucked a red Ferrari in and put a few less cars on the road and played Magical Sound Shower. You could do a very good version of Outrun. Not that the 64 one was as bad as people think anyway, but
it's almost got the essence of I did a feature a couple of weeks ago, the two modern sort of retro driving games. Is it Horizon? Something Horizon that's
and Formula Retro Racing.
Aye, it kind of looks. It's kind of got the feel of that with the way the trees just kind of keep coming towards you. I mean, that is impressive, but.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's more of a sort of tech demo, really. But as the guy's proof of concept for his engine, I mean, you can't argue with that. I mean, it looks impressive.
No, definitely, that is good. So anyway, what was the question? Yeah, NES port. Have you lads seen the NES port of Berserk at all?
No, I've only really recently seen the Commodore 64 version, which will probably be appearing in a video in a not too distant future.
What was that, Chris? The C64 one?
Yeah, the Redux.
Yeah, the Berserk Redux. That was that's all right. I know it's not quite to scale, but that one's
I still think it's pretty good. Yeah,
it is.
I don't think it's terrible at all.
No, I think if you're wanting that to be an authentic Berserk, then that's not the one for you. But probably as a standalone game, it's still a pretty good one. Do me a favour, try Horus and the robots. That is awesome.
Was that the one on the Spectrum?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one did look really good. I saw you do a review of that, but it's the same with a lot of these arcade games. It's really nice to have the ports and look at them and that, but I've got MAME.
That's the thing about it. I mean, back. I mean, especially for me again, where I lived, I was nowhere near an arcade. So my experience, which is different for you guys, of arcade games, like when Slap Fight came out, the only Slap Fight that I knew, or the only Arkanoid that I knew, was what came out on the home computer.
Don't know. I would have thought Slap Fight for you up in Livingston would have been a Friday night outside the boozer.
That's a good Friday. No, never mind Slap Fight. That's a good Friday night. But so I mean, I understand why I do these Arcade Perfect my arses and all that, and part of you is thinking, well, yeah, it's great, it's good. Why? I could load the arcade one up, but there's a certain nostalgic bit of fun loading up.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's nice to see the differences. I mean, blimey, I've done about 4 hours of videos on arcade ports on the Commodore 64 now. I did a couple of Amiga ones as well, and I think I've still got 3, maybe 4 parts of that to go till I've covered all the ones I want to cover. Yeah, it's great to see how they manage to scale these things down. I mean, like especially with your Arcade Perfects, where you cover, a plethora of machines. You do the lot consoles and computers. Seeing the differences of how they managed to get round limitations, like using monochrome on the Spectrum last night for Turbo Outrun, say, using loads of colour on the Amstrad, but it moves like a brick in treacle, which is also tied to a piece of shit. And then you have a look like that FM Towns one. You should have definitely had that as number 1. That was running too fast. We tried telling you, but I don't think you saw it. If you looked at the timer was counting down 2 seconds for every second in real time, so it was running about 2 times. But that's because some emulators, you've got to go in and throttle it, and it's not always an obvious option. But yeah, that was running twice as fast as it should have been.
Oh, sorry, I did see the comment, but when it said it's running too fast, I thought they meant, yeah, it's a nice conversion, but it's running too fast. I didn't realise, no, the emulator's running too fast.
Yeah, the emulator was too fast.
Yeah, had I known that last night, I may have probably definitely changed my probably definitely changed my opinion. Yeah. Just totally changing the subject of video games. One of my mates mentioned a program. He said you might want to watch this, and I had a look at it. What's it called again? Class Action Park. Have any of you guys heard it?
Yeah, I've heard about it about 50 times in the last 3 days.
Okay. All right, it's become a thing, right? I'd never heard it until I watched it.
Oh, it's not just you. It's not just you, Al. There's loads of people sharing it on Facebook.
Oh, is that? All right.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't. I thought I was the first. I didn't realise it was a thing. Fucking mental. I mean, anyone who's not watched it's obviously based on the history of this water theme park that sprung up in New Jersey in America in the early 80s, and it actually didn't close until I think the mid 90s. And essentially, it was the guy that owned it. Nobody would insure, even Donald Trump. He asked him to get involved, and he came along and went, "Nah, fuck that. You're on your own. You don't want to touch it." So that says it all. But this guy, nobody would insure him, so he set up his own insurance business and then insured himself. Anybody that tried to sue him, he would take him to court, and apparently he won something like 85% of the cases, so nobody would touch him. And then if you did win a case, he wouldn't fucking pay. He broke every rule in the. I mean, every like he had go-karts. He basically made them unrestricted. So you got these 15-year-old teenagers driving about 60 miles an hour. He had what do you call it? Speedboats. This girl crashed, fell into the water, got electrocuted because there was fans underneath that were pushing the things along. They actually don't know how many people died in the theme park. And one guy, this one young guy, it was like a kind of toboggan. You go down this chute, and he's in this toboggan. And again, the whole premise of the theme park was there are no limits. You push it as far as you want to push it. This guy was going down on this thing, and he basically flew off the track, and he hit a rock and killed himself. And they basically said he didn't die in our theme park. He died because he hit a rock that was outside our theme park.
Oh, you see these places that have like 2 weeks since last accident. I mean, that place had a sign up in minutes, didn't it?
Well, again, I don't know how much this is true. I mean, I watched it. They said that they had this wave machine, and they basically said that if the water went above your shoulders, they classed it as a death zone. They said you're fucked. And they had one person die, and then they reopened it. But a second person die, and it had 3 deaths in total. They said that they would have to it was the water was so dirty with like oil and what have you. They had to actually like sweep it now and again to check for bodies. I mean, it was just phenomenal. Then they also had this. They had this giant. Again, it was similar to like the toboggan. This track that kind of weaves its way down the hill, and they had this large kind of. You remember Gladiators where you climbed inside this fucking rubber ball thing and
yeah,
hamster's wheel sort of hamster ball thing. You got inside this ball, and what the guy used to do was he would pay employees to test things because nobody would test it, so he'd give them $100 to test it. So anyway, this guy got inside this ball, and the idea of the ball was it was to roll down this thing. Halfway down, it fucking left the track. It rolled through the fence, across a motorway, down a hill, and I think it ended up landing in some fucking some canal or whatever it was. And the guy was all injured. So all right, that doesn't work. We better not bother with that one. And then they had this slide, which was basically it was vertical, straight down, and then it did a loop, a bit like your old, not your Skeletics, your thing where you put your cars away, whoop, like that.
Hot Wheels.
And, yeah, whatever it was. And again, they built this thing. Thought right, we better fucking. They were using dummies, and I thought like, okay, some of the dummies were coming out in bits. I thought right, we better get a live person to check it. They gave a couple of $100 to people, and like the first couple of people came out with like dislocated shoulders and fucking bashed heads and all this. So I thought, right, what we'll need to do is apparently because it was so severe, it was like whoosh, woof. They were talking to a guy, and he said that the G-force was something like 9. He says you can only experience G-force in 2 places: one in space, 2 this action park. It was so phenomenal. So what they thought, right, we better put some additional padding at the top of the loop. So they put this padding. Then people that were going doing it were coming out. Their head was all cut and bruised and blood in them. And when they opened it up, they actually had a hatch at the top because if you're too fat, you would get stuck, and if you're too thin, you basically have to be a certain size. They opened up this hatch, and they actually found teeth stuck in the pad where people had bashed their head. Their teeth were coming out, and basically there was teeth lodged in the foam, so that people were going down and actually tearing their head and cutting themselves in people's teeth.
Yeah, and well,
you see this video footage of people jumping, I don't know, 30 metres or whatever it was, into the pool below. And they said there was, because he employed kids were the lifeguards, they didn't give a shit. There was absolutely nobody was watching what was going on. And they said there was people jumping. And there were, nowadays you go to a theme park, they'll say, right, you need to wait. They've got cameras, they'll say, right, you need to wait your turn, right, you can go. None of that went on then. People were leaping off this cliff, and they were landing and copy each other and fucking killing people. It was absolutely mental. I actually thought it was a parody when I watched it. I thought, that's not real. And then when I got further into it, and then they were talking about, people dying, I thought, yeah, this is real. And then when you go into Google or into YouTube, you do see other channels or other videos, but fucking mental. So it is a thing now. I didn't realise that. But if you get a chance to watch it, you should watch it. It's mental. Apparently, they said that if you saw like somebody walking about in New York and their face was all like bright red and bruised, like Astro Park, Action Park, mate. Yeah. They said it was like a badge of honour. You came out with a fucking dislocated shoulder.
Yeah, I don't like theme parks at the best of times, particularly ones like that.
Anyway, right, Retro Rush, question for the Waffle, mate. Have you seen a BBC drama called Micromen? Yeah, it's a great dramatisation of Sir Clive Sinclair, played by Alexander Armstrong, and Chris Curry, played by Martin Freeman. And it's all about charting the creation of Sinclair, the ZX Spectrum. I've seen it a number of times. Have you guys seen it?
Yep, I've seen it.
You've not seen it?
No.
You should watch it. I think. What did you think of it, Panther?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought Alexander Armstrong as Sir Clive Sinclair was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
He's more than just a part of a comedy duo. I mean, the guy can actually act as well as present game shows and all the other millions of things he does. But yeah, it's actually a pretty good story. And I seem to remember the real people that were involved said it was a fairly close dramatisation of what happened. The split between Curry and Sinclair over the Acorn Electron and the Spectrum and that. Yeah, it's a good sort of. It's not a documentary, but it's a biopic, isn't it, or a biopic, whatever you want to call it. It's worth a look if you like old computers.
If you want to see the history, yeah. I mean, what I think was it's not a spoiler alert, but when the BBC put out this computer program, they wanted they put out a tender for various companies. I think Acorn Soft obviously did it, Sinclair, and I don't know if this was added for effect. But when the guys from the BBC came to visit Acorn Soft, they were literally going up the stairs and it's not working, and he was trying to shit, the lift's broken, lads, we'll need to go this way, and he was deliberately trying to kind of stifle it, trying to delay them getting in. But
hang on, is that Micromen on one of your live streams you're talking about there?
I don't know. Reality, fiction. There's no overlap. I mean, Lukozer, if you're obviously into old systems and that, but if you want to get a kind of glimpse into what happened, it's definitely worth watching.
It's not another like that Steve Jobs film, is it? Because I'm into the old computers. I don't really give a monkey's toss about how they came to be, Yeah, I'm not sure it's really aimed at me.
This is very, very British. I mean, this could have been made by any of the big sort of British film companies. It's a TV. It's an hour long, so it's like a TV biopic. It's pretty good. I enjoyed it, and I don't normally like them sort of things unless they're done properly. And this was done well.
I've watched it a couple of times. I quite enjoy it. I love the whole nostalgia of these things.
When was it made?
Got to be about 10 years ago now, isn't it?
Why?
Okay, so Clive Sinclair isn't played by a black woman then.
What it does show him is he was an absolute cunt.
That was well known. Yeah, Clive Sinclair was an arsehole and a half.
Aye. With an eye for the ladies as well. That kind of comes across in the.
Yeah, it's because he had money, didn't he?
And a C5. I mean, that's a bird puller if ever you've seen one.
Yeah. Fucking.
I think I posted
mobile pussy magnet if ever there was one. Yeah.
When I was out for a cycle a couple of years ago, I was going across this bridge, and I fucking did a double take. This guy went past the C5. But fortunately, I'd actually saw him coming towards, and I was like, "Is that what I think it is?" So I took a video of him going past. Apparently, he's well known in Edinburgh that he drives this C5.
Well, Paul Andrews, the MD of Retro Games that does the C64, he's got a couple of them, and he's got the one that's got stuff like the John Player Special stuff, and like the souped up ones for racing that do like 60 miles an hour. Fuck that!
Yeah. 60 mph on a C5. No, thank you.
Maybe miss a trick. He could have sold a bunch of them to the Action Park, no doubt. Next question from Don Hotmail. Have you made an arcade cabinet or considered making one? Yeah, I'm always rubbish. Not the other way. That way, yeah, that's my wee cabinet, wee little retro pie thing. That's the closest I've come to making one. If any of you boys, did you build your own one, Panther?
Kind of. I didn't have, when I lived in a masonette at the time, so I didn't have a garden or a garage or anything like that. So I bought a flat pack MDF and like a decent quality one. Cost me about 300 quid for the cabinet. And I bought a tank stick and I put a computer in it and I got a screen and I put my own speakers in. I put my own marquee thing. So I kind of, I built it, but I didn't cut the wood myself. But the actual cabinet I built myself, yeah.
It's fun to play. Lukozer, you've never dabbled in that at all. Is that something that's ever?
Nah, not my thing at all.
No, would you not use an arcade cabinet if you had one?
If I wanted to, I'd have to be standing up to play the game. I'm fucking just about stand as it is, you know. So I don't fancy that.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. I know, but I mean, I've done that one. I do have a bar top which one of my mates built for me. I'm not very technical when it comes to stuff like that at all.
Did I see you say earlier on you're selling one of your bar tops?
I am. I'm actually selling my bar top because I've just been I've been offered a proper cabinet, so if I can sell my bar top, and I'm selling, what else am I selling? My Neo Geo MVS, which I think I've used once.
Are those bar top ones? Are they the ones where it's basically like a table, and you're playing the game, you know, sitting at the thing?
Oh, you're fighting a cocktail cabinet.
Oh, okay. Is that
bar top's like just the screen part of an arcade cabinet. So it will sit on a bar top, so you can sit on a bar stool and play it, or it'll go on a table. Like that one that's behind Al next to his Vectrex. Yeah, that's like a small bar top.
Aye. It's basically it's only about a third. I mean, it's full size. The top third of it's full size, but the bit below that's have your coin insert and all that doesn't exist. So it's kind of they're great. Ian Hunter, a quick non-gaming question for you. Oh bloody hell, this is going to take a while. Star Wars or Star Trek? Well, I'll get mine out the road quickly. I was going to say Star Wars. Yeah, Star Wars, the original 3 films. I do like occasionally watching the original Star Treks. I've never been a fan of the Next Generation and all that bollocks, but I do quite like the Trouble with the Troubles and all that kind of stuff. I just love this. Again, it's a nostalgia thing.
No contest for me, Star Trek every time.
Yeah, Star Trek here. Only up until the end of Enterprise. Everything that's come after that has been dog shit.
Yeah.
How many spin-offs did did we have with Star Trek? I mean, what series?
Well, Next Generation is a spin-off. Deep Space Nine is a spin-off. Voyage is a spin-off. Enterprise is a spin-off. Discovery, Picard, they're all spin-offs. The original series is Star Trek, and to some degree, the animated series they made in the 70s that had the actual voices. But yeah, everything other than that is a spin-off. I mean, I do like the Next Generation, but yeah. Star Wars, I love the 3 original films. I like bits and pieces of the others. I like the way the story was tied together. But the last 3, well, they can all fuck off and die. But yeah, if I had to pick between the 2 to only ever watch one again, I'd pick Star Trek, not only because there's 79 episodes of the original, there's 140 odd in the Next Generation, and all the other ones after that. So you'd have plenty to watch. You wouldn't run out after 9 films.
Yeah. And plus, because you got the Star Trek films as well.
Yeah.
Aye. I've only rewatched them actually. You know, I think I've only ever watched them once, and I did enjoy them. That was back in the day.
Yeah, you got to watch the motion picture. It's one of the best science fiction films made. I know a lot of people have a downer on it because it's very slow paced and all that, but I think it's fucking superb.
Yeah, I like it as well. I mean, we've said this before. I mean, I like science fiction like the Andromeda Strain, you know, slow moving and slowly uncovering layers of story rather than going, there you go.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. LRM, a waffle question, nothing serious. So, did you ever have a dust cover for your Commodore 64 or any other computer you owned? I think I had a dust cover for my Atari ST, but I don't think I ever used it.
No,
T-Tail.
I never had one.
I've got dust covers for them now, but yeah, T-Tail. I've got my 64C in front of me. I'm not going to pick that up, but if I take that off, dust cover that I made at work because I work at a place that makes dust covers for stuff. So because I've got that one out all the time for recording music and that on. I made a dust cover for it. So I also made a dust cover for my the C64. So that doesn't get fucking all dust in between the keys. But I think with the old ones, when you get them, and if you're going to clean them up, it's the keyboard that, you know, someone's either scratched their ass, their bollocks, and they've started typing. So you normally wash all the keys with antibacterial wipes, and then there's normally gunge, fluff, pubes, skin flakes, sometimes fingernails. I think the worst one I had, there was a couple of fingernails stuck in a load of crusty ketchup on the inside of one of the keyboards. Yeah, so because I've spent that much time cleaning them up using like isopropyl alcohol to kill any germs and make sure they're clean, now I keep dust covers on them. Even my ones that are in storage, I've got them with silica gel inside sealed bags, so the moisture and the dust keeps out. Because I've got 15 Commodore 64s now. When I got 5, I said to my wife, look, I enjoy cleaning them up. I'll start cleaning them up and selling them. And the price I was buying them for and the work I put into them, wouldn't have been worth my time selling them. So I've ended up keeping them, and now I've got 15. I've still got 2 or 3 that need cleaning up, and a VIC-20. And a 128 when it turns up from my mate who's got it in storage for me.
See if you kept your original C64 and put a dust cover on it at night and you only took it off when it was you're using it, would technically still be, would it not have stained with the light, or would that have not made any difference, do you think?
Well, the jury's still out on that, because I've had some computers where they've gone brown and you can see the way the light's been shining, because you can kind of see a bit that hasn't gone brown by the keyboard, and you can see like the shape of the keys. And so that looks like that's light damage. And yet other ones are completely brown all the way through and underneath. So I don't think anyone's exactly sure what's happening. Some people say it's bromide. Some people say it's a flame retardant. Some people say it's just the nature of ABS plastic. It's just some internal pigment coming out through it. And yeah, you just bleach them and they go normal coloured again for a few years. I did this one in front of me 3 years ago. And if it has started going yellow again, it's very, very slight. I don't notice it in bright light. So, but yeah, it's far too much effort to be able to knock them out. I don't want to rip people off. I think people that sell these machines for sort of 150, 180 quid is an absolute piss take. Or I can understand it if it's a silver label with a serial number less than 10 on it. Then yeah, that's a rare early item. But when you see someone puts a Commodore 64C up, of which I think out of the 17 or so million Commodore 64s that were made, I think a good 8 million of them were 64Cs because they were batting them out in Germany and Hong Kong like no one's business. You see them going for 140 quid, it's like, fuck off. I've got two of them for 26 quid before. The most I've paid for a Commodore 64 is 70 quid, and I'd never do that again, but that's because I wanted that one in particular. But yeah, so I don't want to rip people off, and me putting them up for 40 or 50 quid, that's kind of an insult to the time I've put into them, cleaning them up and fixing them. Because it's, if I start a Commodore 64, and I say it's a nice sunny weekend, I can do it in the sun and not use my UV lights. I can start it on a Friday afternoon when I get home from work, do all the cleaning, get it all prepped, ready to go out Saturday morning in the sun in its polythene and hydrogen peroxide to make it white again. That's out in the sun all day with me going out every half hour to an hour, turning it round and massaging the cream under the plastic so it don't stain it. So you've got a day of that, and then Sunday is or Saturday night would be scrubbing it all off and then leaving it on the side to dry. And then Sunday is like putting it all back together again and testing it and make sure it works and putting heat sinks on the chips. So you're looking at 2.5 days work, plus the machine itself, plus a lot of elbow grease. That's 50 quid don't cover it. I mean, I'm on minimum wage where I work, and I get more than that a day or living wage. I get more than that a day in a living wage job. So, you're looking at 2.5 days. To me, that's worth at least 130, 140 quid. I'm not going to charge someone that for a Commodore 64. So,
because people, it's like I've got a mate. He's a photographer, and he gets absolutely sick to death when somebody says to him, "Oh, could you come and do my mate's daughter's getting married? Would you come and take photographs?" He went, "Aye, that's fine. I'll send you the quote." What do you mean you're going to charge 50 quid? No, it'll be like £500. It's not the fact. It's the same way like I used to fix computers, and you would go to somebody's house, and they would phone you up. "Well, how much do you take to fix it?" "Well, 40 quid an hour." 40 quid an hour? Oh, that's fucking ridiculous.
Hang on. Can you backpedal a bit? You used to fix computers.
Yeah.
Alan Stewart.
I used to fix computers. Basically, this would be about 10 years old. I mean, I used to keep up to date with computers. Now I don't know the first thing about them. But yeah, it was just...
You don't say.
You wouldn't believe the number of people that have got they'll say, "Oh, my laptop's going really slow. I need to get a new one." A simple reinstall of Windows, bang, there you go. Happy as Larry. Or in most cases, it's going slow. Have you got Norton antivirus on it? Yeah. There you go. Run Norton antivirus uninstaller. Boom. It's like fucking shit off a shovel. But people would say, "That's ridiculous." They'll say, "Well, you fix it." No, it's not the fact that it takes you 5 minutes to fix something. It's the fact that you've had to get that knowledge, and that's what people don't want to pay. And they don't want to pay you 2 days labour going out and checking your thing, how white it is, and that's so something like that. It's not worth your time doing it. It's worth more for you to keep it, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's why I have kept them. I mean, I've got them. The ones I bought off you. Apart from one, I've got all of them now. And one was the bread bin that didn't work, but was in nice condition. And my mate said to me when he was fixing all the others up, because I sent him 4 or 5 that I had that were broken. And he said, "Look," he goes, "I'll do a deal with you." He goes, "You can either pay me for the parts and repairs," he said, "or let me have that very nice looking broken bread bin." And I went, "All right, but can I have the SID chip out of it?" I said, "Because that's the one that come from my mate Alan. I happen to know that SID chip is fucking sweet as." And he went, "Yeah." He goes, "I can do that." So I got all my I think it was 5 repaired. And another SID chip, and he just kept that bread bin that didn't work, the one that I had from you. So I kind of used that to pay for others, and it didn't work at the time. But it was a bit of a wrench to let go of it, because that one you'd looked after, and it was so fucking minty clean. It was like, "Oh, do I really want to do this? But then I'm going to have to end up paying him money. Oh, go on then, do it now before I change my mind." But he let me have the SID chip back out of it. So. Yeah. So I had tried that in another machine. I knew it was a nice one, a really rich sounding one.
Sterner Stuff is asking, are there any throwback games you particularly enjoy? Games like Undertale. Oh, right, yeah, that's one of these modern retro ones. A weird mix of NES and speculating games. Blazing Chrome, Contra or Shovel Knight. Hey. That's somebody trying to start a war, Mike.
Yeah, that sounded broken.
There's house opposite us. They modify cars, shall we say? That's done deliberately. They actually want their cars to sound like that constant backfiring. They haven't got the intelligence to work out. They are fucking their engine up big time when they do that. So, yeah, fuck off. Anyway, what were you saying?
Throwback games.
Throwback, yeah, I'm not a big fan of modern games that are made to look like 8-bitty. Nah, I don't really. Not really for me. I've tried.
Depends on the game. Depends on the game. My boy bought me and my missus Undertale. He bought it for me on Steam, but he says, like, for you one Easter, rather than giving us a load of disposable chocolate, he bought us Undertale, and it is a throwback. It's like a cross between an NES and a Spectrum game, but it's quite amusing. The music on it's pretty nice, and it's not a bad game at all. As a general rule, I'd rather play original 8-bit games, but that's one that was given to me, and because it was a present for my boy, I thought I'd try it, and it's not too bad. It's got some nice game mechanics on it, but yeah, in general, I'd rather play games that were made then rather than ones that just look like it.
Yeah, it just feels wrong to me playing a sort of 8-bit looking game that came out last week.
I think it's a genre that was created so that people could have an excuse for not bothering to put any effort into doing the graphics.
That's probably that.
So, no, it looks like this by design. Fuck off. Either do a proper job or don't bother doing it at all, you know.
It does depend on the game, though, doesn't it? I mean, that one Alan showed me that I got hold of, which is a little Formula 1 game. I mean, that one's really nice, and that's all kind of 8-bit type graphics. But that one plays really because it's so fucking fast and smooth, I suppose.
I don't know the one you mean.
Was that one on Steam? Was that? Yeah, aye.
No, it's I'm not going to load it up, but I'll tell you what it's called. While you're talking amongst yourselves, sort of thing.
Aye, I can't remember. Aye, was it a demo? I don't think it was a full game or anything, was it?
It was. Hang on, I've got to open up my folder with my games in.
You go and find that. Right, let's look for another questions. Harfin Tuport. Hi Alan, I bought a GPD XT maybe 4 years ago after watching yours and Steve Benway's video reviews. I think even now it's possibly the best handheld emulation option. The cost of similar units have come down, but there still doesn't appear to be anything more powerful in the market. Do you find it odd that things haven't progressed much since then? Yeah, I don't really dabble much with handhelds anymore, but yeah, I mean, the GPD XT is about, 4 or 5 years old. And it's probably still about the best one out there. There's a lot of cheaper ones that you can get, but yeah, I mean, I know you like it. You bought it after watching my video, I think, PantherUK.
Yeah. Oh, that game was Max Downforce, by the way.
That's the one I remember.
Yeah. I was one to basically have the option of sodding about with Sid Music and Commodore 64 games and arcade games and a lot of the handheld games I like the Game Boy Advance stuff on the move. And rather than buy all them or try and bodge it together on a Nintendo DS, the GPD's perfect. And because it's Android, I can run my normal music player, and it's like a phone in a clamshell sort of thing without the phone part, obviously. But yeah, it works. It works like that. Yeah, I think it's great. I've had no issues with it at all.
As much as I do like to use original hardware if I can. I just think it feels right. I've got apps. If I was going to play a Game Boy game, I would load it up on the GPD rather than an original Game Boy game, because the screens now, they don't blur. They're just a million times better, and that's the one exception I would make. I would quite happily play an older system handheld on a more modern bit of hardware because it just looks a lot better.
you know me, mate. Apart from SID chips, I can't give a toss about original hardware. I'll emulate everything. I've got powerful PCs in the house, right? They're not the newest PCs now, but they're more than capable of handling all the emulators I want to throw at them. You know, if I can run, I'm pretty sure I can run the that they've just leaked the Xbox 360 version of the FPS GoldenEye, and I've got an Xbox 360 emulator and that game, and it runs absolutely perfect. If it can run that, I can run in the emulator. So I couldn't give a toss. It's nice to have them, but then you've got to faff about with RF, and I had to, for my 64, I've had to get a telly with S video, so I've got a good picture on it. Fuck that, HDMI all the way. I don't care. I'm not a collector. I've got 15 64s, but I'm not really a collector. I've got them for reasons. I'm not going to go out and I was saying that I've fucking got a couple of A1200s, a spec in an Amstrad as well, but I don't use them. I use the emulators. If I'm going to play a Commodore 64 game, like when I'm recording my videos, I'll use Vice because it's easy.
Mm-hmm. You know, the problem I've got with handhelds now, and it's just getting ridiculous, is that I'm physically find it hard to see the screen. I mean, I'm fine on something like a GPD-XT, but you get all these stupid, Sega brought out the wee mini Game Gears or something, and the screen's literally the size of a postage stamp. I just can't. I wouldn't be able to even see that. That's just ridiculous.
Well, I'll just put my glasses on. I mean, easy solution.
I saw an interesting thing on Facebook. It was it might have been in Brian's bar actually. The evolution of the phone screen size, and it was like it gradually, like 1997, it was like tiny, and it gets bigger, and then it goes to like 2000. It didn't get much bigger. 2000, it's got the realization you can watch streaming porn, and it goes bop, 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 bop.
Yeah, I put that in Discord, and I think it did come from the bar. Yeah. I noticed no one's reacted to the video I put in Make Us Smile on Discord last night. I'll have a look, but I don't think anyone's reacted. You can't broadcast it, Al. You can look at it. You'll love it. You have to have the sound on though if you're going to watch it. But I don't think anyone else has looked at it yet. I'm hoping they have.
No,
it's got a laugh on it. Who laughed at it? Pinge a Joe, whoever he is.
Right, let's have a look. Highlander's saying Raspberry Pis are fantastic. I've got 3 running in my house. A Raspberry Pi 4 running Pi-hole, which is an ad blocker program that acts as an ad blocking gateway for all of my devices. The second is another Raspberry Pi 4 running using my Wi-Fi controller, Ubiquiti. Fucking that's completely over my head. And my third is a Raspberry Pi running RetroPie. Now we're talking. Anyway, question for the Waffle. If you could have any TV series or film turned into a video game, what would it be?
None, because they're nearly always shit games.
Shit.
So I wouldn't want.
Not even
any
V.
of my favourite. Well, V's the rare exception.
Not even Auf Wiedersehen, Pet. I mean, that's a great program.
Fucking hell. To be honest, I fucking hated the program anyway. So the fact that the game was shit as well was almost inevitable. Although I don't think anybody was prepared for just how shit it was.
And it was a fairly well. Did it not come out in like after Mission Impossible?
It came out the same year as Impossible Mission. I mean, you can imagine, I was saying this when I reviewed it. Somewhere out there must have been somebody who was holding a copy of Impossible Mission and Auf Wiedersehen, Pet, trying to decide which of the two to buy because they're a fan of the television program and ended up buying Auf Wiedersehen, Pet. Like, fucking, can you imagine what that must have been like?
I'd have taken it back.
I mean, it was literally, I'm sure if I remember rightly, it was computer-defined graphics.
It looked like a typing game.
Yeah, it was. It was all UDGs. I mean, there are genuinely... I know I say this a lot of times for comedic effect, but there are genuinely games on cassette 50 that are better than Auf Wiedersehen, Pet.
I mean, there was one bit, I think, it's like Oz has got to get back to the hut, and you're controlling, I think it was like a pie sign.
Yeah.
Using the joystick. I mean, it's just... Mental. Getting back to I'm not I mean, Ocean Software they really came into their own in the sort of late 80s, early 90s with movie conversions, but I just never really got them. I wasn't a fan of them. It was all they did was take little snippets, highlights, whatever you want to call it, out of a film, and they turned into mini games. I wasn't a fan of them at all. I can't even think if there's any video game based on a TV program that I actually like.
No, I mean, as
a television program, V is probably as close as you're going to get.
Yeah,
as far as being a decent game. And to be honest, right, the game really didn't bear much resemblance to the television program at all. I mean, there was no visitors anywhere. You know, the place is full of robots. Well, there's no fucking robots anywhere in the series at all. You know, so I'm pretty sure that game was actually developed as a standalone title, and then they just said, "Oh no, we'll give it the V." License, and it did help it selling more.
V really took off over here, didn't it? I mean, I remember watching that. I remember an ill-fated family holiday to Sussex in a camping tent, and it was absolutely pissing down. There's water running down underneath the ground sheet, and we're all huddled round this fucking portable telly with a fuzzy picture so we could watch the episode of V that was on that week, from the original mini-series. So, I mean, it really hit a mark, didn't it? I mean, all right, today it'd probably be accused of being Nazi this and wrong that and everything like that. And, why is her stuff so tight? I'll tell you why her stuff was so tight, because she was Janet Badler and she was allowed to.
I mean, I think film-wise, I mean, was there any decent video games? I mean, you could say Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars is an arcade game is a classic. There's no question of that. Any other films?
Well, I mean, I've done a video on it. Sorry, Chris, go on.
I was just going to say, I suppose Platoon is the obvious one. It's another one where, couldn't give a monkey's toss about the film, but the game was the first couple of levels were okay.
I know I'm on my own in this, but I quite enjoyed Rambo, but that's more of a nostalgia thing from when I first got my 64, rather than it being a really good game. But I mean, the graphics weren't bad, and the music's fucking good.
Yeah, so it's all about the music with Rambo, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, was there a TV program that had a decent video game based on it? I don't think. I mean, was it DK Tronics? They had a lot of shit like Minder and Auf Wiedersehen Peter. Was that not
Neighbours?
Neighbours.
There was the EastEnders one as well.
Grange Hill, that was awful.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that one. Yeah, I don't think they were all DK Tronics though. I think it was Tynesoft who
Tynesoft and Auf Wiedersehen Peter.
Yeah. I think they also did Supergran, which of course also based on a television program, and that was a fucking shit pile as well.
Grange Hill. I can't think of any decent. Well, maybe V is about the only one really.
Knight Rider.
There's probably some we've forgot. Miami Vice. Street Hawk. Oh wait.
Yeah. So I suppose there was a film one, Alien. You're a massive fan of the Alien in the 64.
I do like Alien on the 64. Yeah.
Well, they captured the tension in that game, didn't they? Even though it again looks a lot like a type in some parts of it. It's they captured the mood, and that music by Paul Clancy is something else.
Yeah, it is. And then you remember, that's 84 that came out, and they're producing sounds like that from the SID that early. So, he really did know what he was doing there.
Yeah.
He then went on to do Give My Regards to Broad Street, and less said about that, the better. He was also the programmer of Legend of Karga, which, that's also fucking shit as well.
Right, next one. This cunt PantherUK is asking, considering you didn't have much to go on, that was a decent waffle scupper. Oh, thank you very much. Controversial probably, but as far as I'm concerned, the Mister is still emulation. Just hardware emulation. God, you're going to upset a lot of people with that one.
It is though.
That's why we set up on Discord, Lukozer. I know you're not in the Discord thing. there's a few fans of the Mister, so I set up a Mister channel so they can take all the Mister bollocks and talk about it in there. As far as I'm concerned, the Mister is still emulation, just hardware emulation as opposed to software emulation. If the real actual physical chip isn't in there, then it's emulation. My telly has a game mode on it option. Before I used that, there was no lag. Now it's not perceptible, certainly not on the C64. Anyways, I've tried the real thing and Vice on the same screen and running side by side. The Mister is great bit of kit, but I've got a powerful enough PC that has no lag that I noticed. Yeah. Totally agree with you. I've got the Raspberry Pi, the Retro Pi, running it on a big TV. There is noticeable lag to the point that it kind of put me off using it. But when I play all these emulators on my PC,
have you got, look in the menus on your telly, have you got game mode? Because a lot of them have game mode for the consoles, and I didn't originally have that when I first got the C64 Mini, and Jeff was round, Sasameter 1806, and we was looking at the Mini, and he was having to go on Monty on the Run because he can complete that as easy as fucking breathing because he's a cock like that. Love you. And he was saying, it's a bit laggy. And I said, I'm wondering if it's the screen. And I set my screen to game mode, and I've left it there since. And he had another go, and then he nigh on completed the game on his second go for not playing it for years. He went, yeah. He goes, there's no leg down there. He goes, that's fine. The only letdown is this joystick. So when you've got someone that plays games to Jeff's caliber, that's telling me there's no lag, and you'll see I've got an arcade thing coming out within one credit clearing a game that's like a cross between R-Type and Ghosts and Goblins that he completed on his computer. Is there lag? I don't think so, because you cannot play games like that with lag. So it very much depends on your screen and your setup. If you've got a shit PC and a crap screen, you're going to get lag all over the place. And, for want of not wanting to wind people up, the Mister is a great bit of kit. But it's not a bit of kit for me because I think Colin spent something like 250 quid on it, and I'm saving money for the Mega 65, which has got an FPGA in it, which is more powerful than the Mister. So if I want to load different cores up, I'll load it on that when I get it. I'm not going to spend 250 quid now and potentially 500 quid further down the line to get something else that will do what the Mister will do, because people will develop cores for it like they have for the Spectrum Next and the actual Mister itself. But yeah, it's a great bit of kit. It's just not a bit of kit for me. So that was a bit of a wind-up thing. But I do believe if it's not an actual physical chip, then it is emulation, be it software or hardware. Because when you look at MAME, when you look at the zip files for the games, like the ROMs, each one of those files in there is a software representation of an actual chip. So when you chuck that into a core in like an FPGA thing, it's acting exactly like the hardware. So it's probably a bit better than software emulation, but it's still fucking emulation.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take on it. Fucking sue me.
No, I mean, one of my mates has got a Mister, and as impressive as it is, he's shown me he'll load up a couple of, I can now play Galaxy and I can now play Rolling Thunder. I'm like, I can play the 2 plus another fucking 7,000. I don't really, probably just what you're saying, it's not for me. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe if I
come on, you've been slowly talking yourself into buying one. I saw you on your last stream. Oh, I'm noticing lag in this now. Playing Banshees, like, you're going to buy a fucking Mister. You can't help yourself. I remember when you said, I'm not buying a C64 Mini. Chris, I've got a C64. I'm not buying a full size. I'm not buying a Spectrum Next. I don't need another arcade case. Fuck off, Al. You're going to buy one. You know it, I know it, and they all know it.
Interestingly, see if any of you guys run Banshee, do you find there's a bit of delay in the controls?
No. I don't find any delay. Like that video I put out, that 5 from 5, the one you're going to do a response to.
Well, I've done it. I've got it uploaded. Yeah.
I played a lot of them games for especially Rock and Roll Racing. I basically had to turn that off because I'd done 4 tracks on it, and I had no issues with lag. And it's a pretty fast racing game. I didn't have any issues. It might have looked like I had issues with Turrican. That's because I'm shit at Turrican too, not because I was having trouble with the emulator. I've just recently recorded a review for Tiniest, and I know Chris has looked at it as well, and he could get to level 2. I can't. I couldn't get past level 1, but I'm crap at Nemesis or Gradius, whatever you want to call it. The only time I've been any good at that is when we done for your high score challenge. Lewis chose Gradius 3, which is one of the hardest games, but I was off work for about 3 weeks in a row there, so I was able, if I had nothing else to do, to spend a couple of hours actually playing it over and over and over and learning, because it's a memory game. It's a memory game.
2 or 3 hours playing nothing but Gradius 3. I'll be in a fucking institution at the end of that.
But I can't remember where I came on the list, but I'm pretty sure I got past the bubbles level, and that level is so hard because of the slowdown. And then as soon as you shoot a load of bubbles, it instantly speeds up. There's no like gradual speed. All of a sudden you're going boom, like that, and that took a bit of getting used to. But I didn't have time to do that for a 10-minute off-the-cuff review. So yeah, it's not the best bit of gameplay, but I illustrate how well they've done with the game. As you'll see on Sunday if you tune in at 12 when I put it out.
But try what's it called, Banshee? I've never noticed any lag in any other Amiga game, but for that one there is a definite. You move the joystick and then it kind of takes a wee second just to kind of move. Try it.
Is that the original? Is that the original game, or is that an emulator? Because you've never said that about any other Amiga games.
No, it's that one. It's just that one when I've played it on
Sunday.
Which
means surely it's been coded that way. There's inertia that's been programmed.
Maybe.
Surely it's not going to be like one game has lag but all the rest work fine.
No.
Try it again, but try it with an A1200 with an 030 and 8 meg of fast RAM, and I bet you it won't be laggy after that.
Aye. Maybe like the Lukozer saying, maybe it's been programmed that way. I don't know.
Well, I did ask a question as well, I think, after all of that lot. So I think I did actually ask a question, didn't I, at the bottom of that lot?
But yeah, Mister, it's a nice bit of hardware. Not for me at the moment. Again, I don't see it offering me enough benefits that are going to outweigh what I've already got.
But you're still
it's something you've been interested in, Lukozer?
Yeah, you're still buying one.
I couldn't be less interested in it if I tried.
Aye. No.
Let me see. Shall I download emulators for free, or shall I pay 250 quid for that thing?
Right, Colin Jones.
You didn't even ask me a question.
What?
I did ask a question as well. I didn't just go on about the mister.
Well, did you?
Was there a question as well?
Hang on, read. Alright, sorry, there was a bit that says read more. I didn't see that bit. Right, okay. For the next waffle, what would you consider to be the 5 greatest emulators? Now, do you mean,
Yeah, emulators.
How well does it emulate? As opposed to, the ZX81 is quite clearly shit compared to the Amiga. It's a great emulator so it's the emulator rather than the system.
Yeah.
I'll go first then. For me, Kega Fusion for all Sega stuff is a phenomenal emulator. It's great. It was Steve Snake wrote it, one of my mates. Actually, he's brilliant. It just plays everything so well. I think
apart from going full screen on your live stream.
Aye, it works. It goes full screen perfect unless I've got this fucking StreamYard thing going on, so I don't know what's going on there. That just seems to fuck it up like a lot of them. I think WinVice for the C64 is flawless. It's drag and drop. So for me, it's all about how easy is it to run. WinUAE, when it works, it's phenomenal, but fucking hell, it can be a pain in the arse to configure. What else? I suppose for Spectrum emulation, Spectaculator is, again, drag and drop. You can just drag the ROM across and it'll just load it. Trying to think of any other good emulators. I mean, the BBC ones, the Amstrad ones, they're all right, but they've not been updated for a long time. I'd probably be struggling to think of the 5 greatest ones, but what about you guys?
MAME, Vice,
Oh yeah, well,
either of the UAEs, Win or FS, because I can kind of use them, but I can't seem to get hard drive images to work on Win UAE, but I can on the other one. Kega Fusion and probably Beast NES for the Super Nintendo, I'd say, were the 5 I like, with Spectaculator running in, because it is a really good emulator. It's like you say, it's very easy to use.
What was that one for the SNES, you said?
Beast NES.
SNES?
Yeah, Beast NES, all one word.
As in like the letter B and then SNES? I've never heard of that.
It's supposed to be very cycle accurate, but I used to use RetroArch for all the SNES type stuff, and I still do if I'm running them from Launchbox. But for recording and stuff like that, Beast NES is just flawless. You know, it does the job. It looks and sounds like a Super Nintendo with no issues. As well, I showed that in my last video.
What about yourself, Lukozer? What you? Is it WinVice you use or C? 64 or something it's called?
No, I don't use CCS. Don't like that one. Right, 5 best. Okay, WinVice, Win UAE, MAME, Daphne, and Stella. And the reason I can put them in my top 5 is because they're the only 5 I use.
Which one's Stella for, mate?
Atari 2600.
Right.
Yeah. The weird thing is, you've never ever, I've sent you quite a few, you've never been able to get a Spectrum emulator to work, have you?
No, I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't tried particularly hard, but yeah, the ones I've tried never worked.
That's bizarre. That's weird.
I can live without a Spectrum emulator.
That is a weird one. That's a weird one. Yeah, I mean, I completely forgot to mention MAME. MAME to me is head and shoulders.
It's kind of in the name, isn't it, Al?
Yeah. It's the best bit of software ever written, other than Windows, which allows it to run, obviously. But you know, the fact that I can load up Space Harrier, that the full hydraulic version Sega game, and I can play it on my PC, will never stop making, amazes me. I just think it's phenomenal. It really is.
Yeah, I feel that way about MAME as well. It's we've said it before loads of times, but it's that first time I load up Outrun, heard the coin in sound, and then thought, well, the magical sound shower, and started it up, and it's like, that's running full speed. I've only got I think I had a 233 megahertz PC at the time. And I looked at my A1200 and I thought, bye, mate. Because I tried running MAME. I had MAME for something like Bomb Jack or something. It comes as a pack I got off of BBS, and I couldn't get it working phrase. When I finally got it working, it was like watching an Amstrad game with full colour. You know, the ones where they use was it Mode 2 or whatever. And they've got all them lovely colours, and it looks beautiful. And then it starts moving, and the frame rate is really low. And that's how MAME was on the A1200. And I've still got it. I've got a fairly souped up for the time. Right, it hasn't got one of these super bloody vampire voodoo card things they have now. But I think I had an 030 or an 040 running at 50 megahertz. I had about 10 mega fast RAM. I had it pretty much kitted out, and it couldn't run Bomb Jack on MAME. And it's like, well. I think that was kind of like the turning point where, because I was using a PC and an Amiga right up until about 1999, and slowly but surely I started drifting more and more to the PC because the Amiga wasn't being updated unless you wanted to throw hundreds of pounds at it. Whereas I could go from a 2 meg to a 4 meg graphics card on a PC for like 40 quid, and I could double my RAM, double my video memory, and the way things behaved on screen. Or I could go and spend 800 quid on a card, like a Picasso card, where it was to plug in my Amiga, and it still wouldn't be as good to run things like Duke Nukem 3D or Doom or anything like that. So, yeah, that's when the old Amiga started going by the by, and it's probably for me it was when MAME, when I first got enlightened to MAME. So yeah, good. I can't better mind my bloody time. I said that's 2 hours 27. Again, I did disappear for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
It didn't help. Anyway, right, a couple more questions. Colin Jones, money no object. Are there any obscure, i.e., not successful computers or consoles from the 8-bit era or earlier that you would like to get for your collection? Personally, I would like a Jupiter Ace and a Sam Cooke. I suppose to have sitting on a shelf, you know, I've got a Jupiter Ace that I can sell for a few £100. I don't think so. I don't think there's any. I did buy a Texas machine, which was the first machine I owned, and I realised that I had nothing to use in it, and I just got rid of it. So I don't think there's.
Yeah, but that's not an 8-bit computer.
Oh, that's true. That's technically classed as a 16-bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. Nah, I don't think. You know, if money was no object, you would have all these machines, but it would just simply to be on a shelf. You know, there's a Z80, there's a ZX81. I mean, I think I've got 2 ZX81s in a drawer. I've never even switched the things on. Nah, don't think so, Colin. There's nothing. Look at you lads. I know, Lukozer, you're not really into the hardware collection side of things at all, eh?
Nah, money no object. I'll keep the money. I'll buy that packet of bags or something.
Yeah, oh, come on. For you buy a 128D and you know it.
Well, yeah. I mean, if I was, you know, if I had to spend it on an 8-bit computer, yeah, 128 is a fucking no-brainer. It's the only one I would be interested in getting.
Aye, I would maybe buy one, actually. I forgot about that one, yeah. I did have one. I owned it for about a couple of hours because the guy, I bought it from the guy, and then I got it home and it was just a bit temperamental, and I phoned him, like, I'll come and get your money back, and he came and took it away.
Yeah, I could have got that mended for you, you Wally, but never mind.
Aye. Never mind. What about yourself, Panther? Is there any 8-bits that you think you would love to own?
Well, I would probably stretch as far as the BBC because of using them.
I was just going to say, actually, thinking about it, yeah, maybe a BBC Master. And I may even throw in the Lynx 64.
The Lynx 64?
Yeah.
Is that big, long, black monolith type looking thing?
No, the Lynx was the Computers Lynx that came out in '82. Really nice keyboard. It wasn't a gaming machine, really. I don't think there were any games published for it. Initially, it came out as a 32K machine, but then they brought out a 64K version, and yeah, I wouldn't mind having a bash on one of them. I did I did a bit of programming on a Lynx 32 in a demonstration model in a shop in Southend once. Yeah. Yeah, you know what it was.
Yeah. Well, we've all done that one. I mean, I've got my 64s. I've got an Amstrad with a colour monitor, but I've also got a breakout kit, so I can use it on a a telly with SCART or phono inputs. Was it AV? I've got a Speccy 128 plus 2. I've been told that the grey plus 2 is the most compatible spectrum of the lot if you want to play everything. But they don't get used because I've got emulators.
This was one of the magazines I used to pour over as a kid before I owned one. There you go. This was Home Computer Course.
I used to get this mag.
Obviously, I've got 1 or 2 Commodore 64s as well, so I'm all right on that front.
There you go. This is what I loved, being into computers, all the different machines. I mean, Atari. I mean, I've got that. I don't have a Colour Genie. I don't know anything about it.
I've never seen one of those.
No.
Yeah, so the thing is, if you go back in time and ask sort of like 13 or 14-year-old Chris in 83, 84, whatever, like 84 when I was 12, which computer would I like out of that lot? He'd be like, all of them.
Yeah.
But now I'd rather emulate them. I've had enough grief with having to get Commodores repaired and that, and future-proofing them, let alone relearning everything again for this lot.
Yeah, there's the Lynx there. My mate's actually got one, and he keeps threatening to dig it out of the attic, and we're going to do a main Meister look at computers.
Really nice keyboard on the Lynx.
Yeah, he did say that. Did it say your built-in machine typewriter still keyboard? That doesn't say very much. Yeah, he did say that that's probably the best keyboard that he's actually.
Yeah, I would go along with that. It was a mechanical keyboard. People seem to think that mechanical keyboards they're brand new. All these teenagers and 20-year-olds think, oh, this is brand new, up to date. No, we had them in fucking 1982, you cunts.
Technically, the computer on the Commodore 60, the keyboard on the Commodore 64 is a mechanical, isn't it? There's no, well, it's a spring and plunger with a PCB underneath to make connections. It's not like it hasn't got like a membrane or anything.
I did own a Dragon 32 a couple of years ago, and I got rid of it because I'm not a fan of green. But you imagine if your mum and dad bought you an Epson HX20.
Well, I'd be very surprised they did. They were fucking expensive, those things.
£486. There you go. There's a tiny little tape deck there as well, I think. Bloody hell.
Yeah, use micro tapes.
Look how white the VIC-20 is, Bloody hell.
My one don't look like that. Not yet. Although mine says VC20 on it because it's one from the German market. Apparently Vic means something they can't really get away with saying over there, so it's a VC20.
Not as bad as Midwinter 2, though, in Germany, is it?
No.
That's what I mentioned in there's that sword that I've got. I keep thinking I should just get rid of it. Yeah, in that video that we done, I says that my mum and dad bought me that, and you're like, the first thing I did was look at the advantages. And the advantages was I had a typewriter style keyboard, fuck's sake. Yeah,
it actually was quite a nice keyboard. I did have a TI 9904A, but I didn't have any gains for it. Yeah.
I'm trying to think what the computer is that... There's an old computer that looks absolutely gorgeous. It's a complete slab of black. And I'm trying to think of what it is now. So I'm going to do a quick search.
No,
it weren't in with that lot. I'm pretty sure RMC did a review of it, but I don't know how long ago it was. So I'll look for that while we're.
I can't even think. Right, we better crack on. I've got a couple more questions. Yeah, that was it. That was Collins, and the last one is David Bentley. 2 questions for you. Why is it that I don't care about the PS5 and Xbox Series X, and I don't care if I never play the latest FIFA or Call of Duty, but I still play and really enjoy games made 30 years ago? Am I just an old bastard who hates new things, or are modern games shallow and dull, as I feel they are? Give me Sensei over FIFA 21 and cannon fodder over the latest Call of Duty any day. I think you've just exactly probably described the three of us.
It's not exactly an easy question to answer that. Why is it he has no interest in the PS5? Well, my honest answer is, how the fuck should I know? Yeah. Well, that certainly don't help,
Right, the computer I was looking at was the Memotech MTX 512.
I've never heard of it.
Right, if I share this screen, then it's
a picture up. I don't know. I think it's an age thing. I'm sure if you put a 12-year-old in front of a PS5 or a Commodore 64, he's going to pick the PS5. But I think for me, never seen that before. When did that come out?
Early 80s, as far as I know.
Never seen it before.
Nah,
it's not bad aesthetically, is it?
No, it's not. It's a solid aluminium case, pretty much.
Yeah.
Say RMC on YouTube did a few months ago did a look at of one because he had a few. He did a video where he'd done like 5 or so computers you might not know, and this is one of them. And someone contacted him and said, "Oh, I've got one of them, and I've got loads of the gubbins to go with it." He'd done a review, and apparently the keyboard on it is something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is aesthetically very pleasing.
Does look rather nice, aye. But why do old farts not want to play PS5s and would rather load up a game of Drop Zone or a game in MAME? What do you think?
Well, I'm not into playable movies. I think that's the thing. I either want to play a game or watch a film. I don't want to play for 5 minutes, watch for 10 minutes, then play for another half hour, then watch for half hour. I'd rather do one or the other. There's been occasions where new games have grabbed me. I enjoyed the Uncharted series on the PlayStation 3. They were like playable movies, but it was a good story and the acting was pretty good. occasionally I'll get a game like that I want to play, but I'm more hands on. It's like playing Elite with Chris. You can't put the controller down unless you're on auto dock, which he always ribs me about. But you've actually got to try and fly your ship in that game. You can't just put the controller down. There's not really anything to watch. It's something you have to play. If you play what we was talking about Gradius earlier on, you play Gradius 3. If you look away from the screen and let go of the controls for a second, you're dead.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. If I want to play a game, I want to play a game. I don't want a playable movie. If I want a playable movie, I'll 9 times out of 10 I'll just watch a film.
I don't think that modern games, and I might be talking complete bollocks, I don't think modern games have any real challenge or skill involved. Yeah, you get to an end of level baddie and you die and you reload and you die and you reload and then you get past it, and you never. The way I look at it is, if you complete a game, if you complete whatever, I don't know, fucking Call of Duty 5 or whatever the hell it is, you're not going to go and brag to your mates about it. Trust me, if I got 1 million in Robotron, I'd be fucking putting it all over Facebook, because I would be like, I'm the man. I've scored 50,000 at Defender. It doesn't complete a modern game. I mean, there's a Stuart Campbell who used to write for Amiga Power. He did a video, and he basically had, it was Sonic Heroes or something it was called, on the Xbox, the original Xbox, and he basically he had the control pad sellotaped in the up position, and he had blue tack on the X, so it was just constantly going forwards and jumping. And it got to about the fucking 4th level, and he was something like that, and it was just playing itself. There was no fucking skill at all in it. It's just try again. Oh, got past it. Try again. There's no skill. There's no even any enjoyment. When you take the majority of third-person shooters, all you're doing is left, right, up, down. Collect that, take the key, open the door, pick up the health, shoot him, pick up the key, take that to there, drop that. It's just. They're all the same. There is no originality in games now.
Well, you say that about Sonic the Hedgehog. I mean, there were games like that back in the day.
I think
you remember ER Kung Fu. I mean, I forget what the move was. I think it was like the head kick or whatever. But yeah, if you did nothing but that, it would get you to about level 5 or something, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Aye, I think that was probably a lack of sort of proper gameplay. I mean, was it exploding fists? People say, "Oh, you can complete it doing the leg sweep." Well, fucking don't do the leg sweep and play it properly.
I mean, it's like a lot of people say, like, I like the Street Fighter Alpha series on the arcade, and I like Street Fighter Alpha 3. And, yeah, you get a lot of people that just mash the buttons and they say, oh, it's just a button masher. Well, if you want to play it that way, but if you take time to learn the moves, I guarantee you, if you play against me and you're button mashing and I'm playing it properly with one of the 3 or 4 characters I know inside out, I'll absolutely mully you, because I know all the special moves, I know all the guard blocks, and I know all the stuff like that. There's a lot of skill involved in the Street Fighter games. A lot.
Yeah. I actually wish that I could play these games properly. I've got a couple of mates who, like Sick Boy, who takes part in the challenges. I've watched him playing it, and it's a bit of it's like mastering a fucking kung fu. It's a thing of beauty. Then when I play it, I'm just going like that and hammering the buttons. In fact, there's no skill involved but I wish I could learn it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. Watching Jeff. Like I was saying to you about when I was setting up my arcade cabinet with a new board in it, and I was trying to see if everything was running all right. I wasn't looking for lag or anything. I just wanted to see if it was running all right. And he used to have the arcade board of Gradius 2 Vulcan Venture, and I said, well, look, do you want to have a go at that? And he's like, oh, I don't really want to. And I went, but you know this game inside out. I said, if anyone's going to tell me if this is running right, it's you playing an arcade board you used to have. And he was like, well, I haven't played it for 20 years. I went, just give it a go. And he got to level 4. So that tells me it's running properly. You know what I mean?
And lastly, question 2. I feel that Amiga could have been the next big thing before... Okay, I feel Amiga could have been the next big thing before the PC really took off and exploded. What do you think Commodore could have done to make the Amiga appeal to more than us nerds and niche gamers? I think you kind of summed it up earlier on. The price of hardware was just a lot.
Price of hardware, and just put a PC processor in it.
Hang on, I'm thinking the way that question's worded. It could have been the next big thing before the PCs came along. Well, I thought the Amiga was the next big thing until the PCs came along. It was not a niche product. It was a fucking big seller.
Yeah, I think he means like to compete with the PC. I
don't think it was ever going to compete with the PC though, because of course the PC had 3D hardware. The Amiga never did.
The PC had Doom.
Yeah.
Once 3D games came along, that was it. The Amiga just didn't stand a fucking chance.
Aye. So was it down to? Do you think it was down to price? If you could have got a easily affordable 3D card and stuck it in the Amiga, do you think it could have possibly continued? Some people would probably say the Amiga never died, but I think I'm not saying
I don't think the Amiga ever actually had the capabilities of doing like stuff like with a 3D accelerator or whatever. And they wouldn't have coded any games for it because there would have been so few people who had the accelerator there that they would have been releasing a game to a potential customer base of about 40 people or something. So that would never have happened.
I mean, nearly everyone I know that had Amigas had A500s then and or A1200s. I had a mate called Wedgie at the time, and he was the only person I knew that had an A4000 at the time when it came out. He used to have quite a high-paying job, and I think his A4000, and I'm going from memory, it cost something like 2,400 quid, and it still weren't as good as a PC running a DX266 chip in it. It just weren't as fast. Just couldn't compete, especially on games. The PC was in all these offices all around the world, and a very basic 486 could run Doom, and everyone wanted to play Doom. And then when Doom 2 come out and you could start up, down and look around and that was it. That was the kiss of death for every other computer, which is why now it's pretty much PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Switch. Those are the machines. And if I was going to buy one of them now, I'd buy a Switch, because Nintendo, believe it or not, are the only company that are not bowing down to censorship, because Nintendo are the only company that are still solely Japan owned, and the Japanese do not fuck around with censorship.
Yeah.
Right. When do you think the Amiga? When was the sort of death knell of the Amiga? Do you think? I mean, the 1200 came out, but it never really, probably similar to the Commodore 128, it never really took off, did it?
I don't know. I know a lot of people.
I think it did. Yeah.
I mean, I upgraded from a 500 to a 1200.
Yeah, I went from the 500 to 1200, and it was
but then I bought a PC. I saw Doom, and my Amiga was up for sale the next day.
Yeah, I think by about, say, 97, 98, the Amiga was sort of on its last legs then.
Software was thrown up as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, but now it's all coming back again. There's people doing what they're doing on the 64. I mean, you've only got to look at the tiny series of games that Abyss have been doing, and there's a lot of stuff that's now being made on the Amiga again. So who knows where it's going to go?
So it clearly still has some life left in it.
I mean, all right, it's not coming as close as the kind of user base that the Spectrum or the Commodore 64 have got, because the amount of games coming out now for those two machines is unbelievable. I think the next Zap annual's probably got something ridiculous amount of games in it. You'd think they'd have like 5 or 6 games, but it'll probably be closer to 10 and 20, maybe more. I mean, you'd have to ask Paul Morrison if he'll let slip. But I'd imagine there's a lot of games. The last Zap annual had 30 or 40 bloody games in it. There's a lot coming out, and that's in the space of a year or two.
No, that's good. That's good to see that. So anyway, listen, I think that's sorry for a shorter than normal waffle.
Well, you've got some editing to do, haven't you?
So anyway, listen, thanks to the two Chris's for joining me tonight.
This is like one of those Christmas shows that's filmed in July, isn't it?
The sun's streaming in through the fucking
still
window.
fucking broad daylight out there. Yeah,
Might not be true. I'll be along on the Sunday, normal time, 6 till 8, and it's going to be a Richard Broadhurst special. He's the bloke that programmes some absolutely phenomenal arcade conversions for the BBC. He's very kindly sent them. I have got them. I don't know where I put them. So it's going to be a Richard Broadhurst special arcade conversions on the BBC. So
also, it's BBC only, is it?
It's just yeah.
I'll run a bit smoother than normal.
So anyway, guys, just to finish off, thank you very, very much for watching.
See ya.